Now, I'm not going to go through this in huge great detail, but I think it's worth, if you are questioning why this might be important, or what are the challenges out there, because this is a very tricky area to navigate. It's got a lot of stigma and taboo attached to it, a bit like talking about suicide or talking about our mental health. Finances are exactly the same. And it might come as no surprise to you that currently we're still in a cost of living crisis, even though people try and convince me otherwise, but we definitely are. Financial worries are the top cause of stress for employees. And then when you look at that, about the impact of that in terms of their ability to do their day job, you're then looking at 1 in 5 saying that if they're worrying about money, they're not sleeping, it's going to have a knock-on impact when they go to work. Okay. We also see as well in the work that we do, and when we talk to clients, this is echoes that there are different pressure groups. Now, financial pressure affects everyone at different life stages, but the one area that's particularly prevalent right now is that 25 to 34-year-olds who, finding it difficult for a number of reasons, finding it difficult to get onto the housing ladder, finding it difficult to save up for the future, probably haven't got a lot of resilience when it comes to finances either. You then throw in this challenge, the next one for me, Ryan, is that none of us, I never did, we never learned this at school. We never learned about budgeting. We didn't learn about mortgages or gambling or scams or anything like that growing up. So most of us will just learn through life's journey, through those events that get thrown at us. You then throw in the fact that we don't know how to manage our money, and we don't know how to budget with our money, and we don't know how to make the most of what we have got. It comes as no surprise to then know that people haven't got much savings at the moment. Okay, 20% of people in the UK have less than £100 in savings. So what happens when things go wrong? You ask that question, and most people will say they'll turn to credit or they'll turn to borrowing money. That is what is happening out there, and that there's goes into this problem debt that we have as a country. More and more people accessing credit, to be able to just use credit in a heartbeat, things like buy now, pay later. And we're just in that culture now where it's just too easy sometimes, but necessary for some people. But this is where the links start to come in with mental health, because if 50% of people that are in debt are also facing into a mental health challenge, that's going to make the situation even worse for people. And quality of sleep, you can see that there, 29% affecting their sleep. And here comes the statistic around twice as likely then to maybe have thoughts of self-harm or potentially suicide. So you can't look at financial well-being in isolation. You have to understand those holistic links between financial well-being, mental health, and suicide prevention, which is why we want to open up this conversation. So this is what we're aiming to do here at FinWell, and we're delighted to have the lovely Alice along with us today, who works with us here at FinWell in the field of Alice. So Alice, big welcome as one of our guest speakers today. Thank you so much for taking some time out to join us. So Alice, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, a bit about Ripple, and what's your why, what's your reason?
Thanks, Justine. So hi, everybody. Lovely to be here this afternoon. My name is Alice. A little bit about me. I work full-time as a cybersecurity specialist for a large consultancy. So that's the day job. And then in my spare time, I have an amazing team, and we run Ripple, which is a suicide prevention charity. A little bit then about my story and how I came into the field of suicide prevention, because as I'm sure you can appreciate, nobody actively wants to be in that field, but the reality is we are for a reason. November 2020, during COVID, lots of lockdowns, lots of people feeling isolated, and 25th of November, we received a knock on our front door from 2 police officers at 5:28 in the morning. They came in and they told my parents and I that they'd found somebody about 2 hours prior, and they believe that person who to have taken their own life, and that person was identified as my little brother Josh. So life for me and life for my parents since that moment has never been the same again, nor will it ever be. We're still very much dealing with the loss of Josh, and yeah, our worlds were just turned upside down, to be honest. In terms of Ripple and what it is, it's a charity that I set up in Josh's memory. In terms of how it works, it's effectively a piece of technology that can be deployed on browser computers, on any browser of choice, and also on Wi-Fi networks. And once downloaded, it means that if somebody was to go on the internet and conduct a harmful search relating to self-harm or suicide, then the Ripple technology would intervene, interrupt that search, and instead signpost them to a selection of mental health resources. Now, the reason that I am very passionate about financial well-being with regards to suicide is because the link is just huge. And I know that firsthand from losing my brother to suicide. So incredibly proud to be involved with the great work that Finwell do, and thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alice, and thank you for being so open and sharing Josh's story. And I know that you're hugely passionate about financial well-being, but in the aftermath of Josh, what did you find out about his challenges with money? Because you found out quite a bit later on, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I was lucky in the sense that I had the skill set in order to go through my brother's devices with a fine tooth comb when he passed away, because I was desperate for answers, desperate to try and put the puzzle pieces together. Why did he no longer want to be here? Why has he done this? And when I did go through his devices, I was completely shocked regarding his financial well-being. I have absolutely no doubt that Josh's finances contributed to him making that decision to take his own life. No doubt in my mind at all. In the week leading up to his death, he applied for 72 payday loans. He was conducting searches, trying to get easy money, loan sharks, you name it, anything in order to improve his financial well-being. And the bottom line was he was in a pretty dire state with his money. Had we have known that, had he had told us that prior to him ending his life, who knows, we might have been in a different position. But really sad, really upsetting, and definitely a contributory factor to him taking his life.
And I guess that, you didn't know that there was some financial challenges, 72 payday loans and loan sharks, you're right, maybe had you have known, or had he have had some support earlier, the outcome might have been different. But I guess that's where the links come back together again, isn't it? Because what we want to do is to, have people in the workplace that can support colleagues no matter what they're going through, so that they can try and open up that conversation, because it's that stigma and taboo that comes with, debt and money that often means that people don't know where to go. And I guess, Josh perhaps didn't know where to go or how to have that conversation.
Yeah, exactly that. And, just to be really clear, this isn't a loose connection between financial well-being and mental health. This isn't a loose connection. We're not clutching at straws here. The link between financial well-being and people who experience suicidal thoughts is very, very real. And it is a huge factor as to why we have such a problem with suicide in this country. And some of the statistics that we've got at Ripple show that people with debt are 3 times more likely to have had suicidal thoughts. Nearly 60% of people with debts over £30,000 have considered suicide. It doesn't really get much more serious than this. So the link between the two should not be underestimated.
And also the links with, coming back to sort of the employers and the workplace. If you've got someone that's burdened with debt and therefore 3 times more likely to be having suicidal thoughts, that's got to have some kind of knock-on impact on the day job and on being able to function as a human and be the best they can be in terms of bringing the best selves to work. So brilliant. Okay, and again, just thank you, Alice, for highlighting that, because there'll be other stories, I'm sure, out there. But if anyone wants to reach out to Alice and learn a bit more about the fantastic work that Ripple's suicide prevention charity do, please just reach out to one of us. Reach out to Alice. Alice, if you want to pop your email maybe in the chat for people that are there, brilliant. Please do so, because it's a fantastic piece of kit. That intervention, or words of hope and encouragement and signposting to support and help could be, could save lives. And it is saving lives, isn't it, Alice? I know the work you've done over the last few years. How many lives are we saving right now?
Yeah, so we don't track or monitor any personal information, but we've been approached now by 31 people to tell us that they're still here because Ripple intervened at that moment of crisis. So yeah, a phenomenal figure, and they're only the ones that we know about, right?
Yeah, of course, there'll be plenty others. So okay, absolutely reach out, and a big thank you, Alice, for taking the time out today. Now, Ryan, I'm going to come to you next, because as part of the work that we do, and linking mental health and financial wellbeing and suicide prevention together, we were really passionate, weren't we, about Financial Wellbeing Month. So what I'd love you to do now, Ryan, is tell everyone a little bit about Financial Wellbeing Month and how this kind of can support employers in the workplace.